this is one of the last great family farms, and you can be part of it.
Welcome to the Home Comfort Zone podcast. I'm Theresa, Marketing Manager here at All Comfort Services. Today I have a special guest. I have Stan Hinckley. He's the owner of the Bloomin Farm Cooperative in Sun Prairie. And welcome, Stan.
Theresa, it's so nice to be here. We've been friends for what now, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I came here to All Comfort Services to get some heating done and add to a new greenhouse I was building out at the farm I bought 6 months ago, actually, and ended up contracting with the electrical department and a host of others. And last Thursday and Friday there were 5 or 6 trucks with 5 crews of guys improving the farm, and it's just such a pleasure for me to be here, do your podcast, and say thank you to all those teams of great workers. And I'm impressed that this is an employee-owned company, and from the top to the bottom, I'm yet to find a person in this company that I don't really like. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Stan. We really appreciate it. We've had a lot of fun working with you, and the reason why I wanted to have you on the podcast was the story that you were telling all of us when you came here to get this work done. The multiple stories. You know, one of the funny things you were telling me is you're an old Canadian farmer. So how did you become an old Canadian farmer versus a CFO, a CEO, you're a OCF?
The OCF, I have a little chalk sign in the market on the farm. It's 7.8 acres. It's in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. If you go and drive through town and take the second exit off 151, you go out towards the new high school and the new Culvers, and just before Gus's Diner, and you look off to the right, you'll see a 7.8 acre farm with 6 greenhouses, and it's quite a charming little place. But if you would have asked me 2 years ago, Theresa, if I was going to be a farmer, I would have told you were crazy. And so this farm is a special piece of land that is just working magic through all sorts of people. And if I could, I'd like to share the evolution of it.
Absolutely.
So I call myself the old Canadian farmer in contrast to being the CEO. And I joke around that I'm 174 years old. With that said, 2 years ago I started a process of looking at the farm. And I really started when I started giving away huge vases of flowers when my mother passed away 4 years ago. She loved flowers, and consequently, because of my tremendous love for her, I gave away 50 vases of flowers the first year, just randomly to people at banks and walking by the neighborhood and people with daughters, and found it thrilling just to give it away and see the reaction of people. So the next year I gave away 100 vases. The year after that I gave away 200, and then I said, if I'm going to keep doubling what I give away here, I'd better buy a farm or a barn or some darn thing. And so I got in touch with old friends in the real estate business. We started looking at an old barn by Wanakee and about 12 different parcels of land. We found them all to be overpriced or expensive. And Renee Carruthers, my friend in real estate for 50 years, said, you know, Danny's niece is married to my son, and at the last family reunion, she said that it wasn't for sale, but if the right guy came along, Danny might consider retiring early. So she set up a coffee. We had coffee for 10 minutes, talked for 3 hours, had coffee the next morning and talked for 2 hours, at the end of which Danny said, you know, Stan, I think I'd like to work with you. And I said, that's wonderful, Danny. And he said, I asked him, I said, do you have any idea what you and Sandy would need financially to retire early and comfortably? And he knew exactly what he wanted to the nickel. And 2 minutes later, I said, Danny, I think I'll give you what you want. And so we shook hands on it, and that's how I bought the farm. And so I'm 174 years of age and happily married for 50 years. I put on the chalkboard married for 50 years. My bride, Jerry, insisted I put happily. And then I put farming 2 months. Well, it's now 6 months here, the 21st of marks a 6-month anniversary. And so we've evolved from a real estate idea, putting mass or urban density modern apartment buildings on that land, to changing totally to a new mission statement of keeping a family farm for 100 years. So that's what I've dedicated myself to do, that process.
That's fantastic. So you went from buying flowers for your mom in vases, and then having the idea I should buy a farm, and you found the ideal farm in this area in Dane County. You found a great farm. And how did it take you then to all the things that we're working on? That I know that you've got some activities on the farm that are going on. It's so many different things. You've got the barn that's going to have a special activities.
Well, it's interesting, Theresa, because again, I had no clue, and my wife swore at me for 5 hours one night when her antenna went up and she realized I was buying something. She said, "What the heck are you doing?" And she didn't say heck. And for 5 hours she questioned my sanity, said, you don't need the money, you don't need the work, you've got a slight disability with your nervous system, and but so what are you doing? And she came to the conclusion that 4:45 in the morning that I would live a couple years longer if I found something I was passionate about, something that gave me a reason to get up in the morning. And I'm just cantankerous enough that I thought at 174 I should try farming. And so when she realized that it would be healthy for me and I'd live a little longer, she blessed it, and she's been the best thing in my life for 50 years.
That's a wonderful story. So now that you have the farm, and then you had this idea that would keep you, entertained, and what gave you the idea to? I know you started. This is the Bloomin Farm Cooperative. What gave you the idea to have it be a cooperative?
Well, interestingly, what first attracted me was location, because that building, or that farm, really, 1,421 cars go by that farm every hour. 24 hours a day. I counted them 191 times. So I said, this got great location. And originally I was going to put duplex apartments and add to the real estate value and do some version of high-density urban apartment building. And I still think today I could knock down the barn, the market, the classic old farmhouse, and make a couple $1 million more if I just flatten everything and put up apartment buildings. But frankly, I think we've got dozens of those just down East Washington and all through Sun Prairie and surrounding communities. All the farms and all the farm markets are being eaten up by that kind of development. And I just don't think we need that to have one more. What I do think we need to do is was an idea that was given to me when I went back to college after not getting a degree 55 years ago. When I played hockey for the University of Wisconsin 55 years ago, and there's an old picture of the team in 1973 that was a great bunch of guys. We had the good fortune of being part of the first national championship in men's hockey, which I'm very proud of. But I'm more proud of the friends that I've got in real life, that 50 years later, one just sent me a text 5 minutes ago, as you saw, Theresa, and Gary Winchester and Christy, God bless them, are great friends, and so that's what's important to me. But when I went back to school, I ended up taking a class on cooperatives. And I was just a competitive old jock who didn't understand how to collaborate with people, which I proved in the first role play and going back to class. It's kind of like Rodney Dangerfield in Back to School, if you've seen that old movie. I had to bribe my way through class with $450 of carrot cake, and they ended up giving me a degree on the condition I'd never come back. So we had a role play the first week, and it was supposed to teach you how to collaborate. And I was just competitive, so I influenced our half of the class to crush the other team in the three segments of this role play, and we won 48-0. But I learned absolutely zero about collaboration. when the professor, 2 years younger than my two daughters, pointed out that that was the worst collaborative role play in their history of being a professor at the university. As a consequence, there were no rewards or anything else. And a week later, Jerry and I showed up with $250 of carrot cake to try and make amends. And over the semester, the kids taught me how to collaborate and the benefits of collaboration. And Wisconsin is the hotbed of the cooperative movement nationwide. The professor, Professor Brenner, is an expert nationwide and gives seminars in Vegas and East Coast, West Coast. And but we're really fortunate to have her and her whole department at the university sharing the way cooperatives work. In this class, the kids wanted to use it for a term paper. They ended up using the farm, and the idea was, since they were betting that I wasn't going to live to be 200, and so I needed an exit strategy. And the exit strategy that ended up making the most sense for the term paper was to use the farm to become a cooperative and owned by the families of Dane County and beyond, just like the Green Bay Packers are owned by the people of Wisconsin, and we have a lot of pride in that. The difference between the Green Bay Packers and the Bloomin Farm Cooperative is that with the Packers, you don't get a dividend, you don't get paid. With a farm, you do. There's an annual dividend to be paid on my mom's birthday every year. The other thing is you get the opportunity to vote. When we get 1,000 families pledging to buy me out in the term paper, that triggers the election of 9 board members, and the 9 board members start to make decisions for everybody's benefit, not just mine. So in actuality, I bought the farm as a limited liability corporation, as a sole owner, and I get all the profits. And I did see a lot of profits in the farm. We all kicked the bucket at a certain point, and they were betting I didn't hit 200. So the exit strategy changed from a real estate venture to a new mission of keeping it a family farm for 100 years. And so we're selling out, taking pledges for the first 4,000 families that become member owners, and that's the way it'll stay a family farm. And I think it'll be the nicest unique family farm in a 50-mile radius, and a lot of those 1,421 cars that go by will be turning in and eventually become owners.
Yeah, and that was the idea, is I wanted to share the story. It's a unique story. This story is available for anyone who hears this interview. That you're at, I think around 500 people have already signed up as a cooperative member, and you're trying to, your aim is 4,000.
Yes. Well, if I can back up a little bit, so what happened was, as a business person and as an entrepreneurial optimist, and somebody who loves working with people, is that I just saw it as an opportunity to do something that was unique. And the farm's proven to be special. I started to wake up in the middle of the night, anywhere between 10:30 and 4 in the morning, and get ideas about how to improve the farm. And that, along with my friend Danny Lothy, the former owner, started to put the ideas down. And for the first time in my life, when I'd wake up for 2 or 3 hours, I wrote all these ideas down. Now I've got a business plan that's 400 to 500 pages long, and just really hasn't ever stopped. And there's ideas like, in the barn we built the 4 Amish brothers were great enough to come down and insulate and wall with plywood this last 2 weeks, and we built a Santa's workshop in there. Every December 20th and 21st, we're going to have an event where people can come and sing 21 Christmas carols. It's going to be named Jesus Was Born in a Barn, Hallmark Christmas Carols at the Farm. And for the 20th and 21st of every year, a week before Christmas, we'll get together out in the 2 biggest greenhouses, and sing 21 songs. And we'll walk by that barn in a lit pathway, and won't interfere with midnight mass or Christmas services or vacations. Just be something where the community can get together and sing some Christmas carols. The nicest song for the 2 nights is going to get a $1,000 gift certificate from the market, where we have a little pop-up Christmas shop. But it's just evolved with ideas like that. And so in the barn, the kids will be able to walk down this lit pathway, look up and see the nativity scene on the hill by the barn, and they'll see Santa Claus and the elves peeking out the door. And so it's going to be a great event. So it's ideas like that. You know, in the 6 months before we actually signed the papers at the best lawyers in Sun Prairie, Hebel and Hebel, they thought it would take maybe a few hours to close. It took 10 minutes. And they said they haven't had a transaction in 30 years where people actually honored a handshake like Danny and I did. And so we kept things simple, and Danny's become a great friend. He's out at the farm giving me advice still 3/4 of the time since he bought it. I showed up one day and he was mowing the grass. I said, Danny, you sold the place. You don't have to come work every day. But Danny Lothy and Sandy are 2 of the nicest people you ever want to meet. And I warn customers and friends that on my best day I'll be half as nice as Danny and Sandy are. So don't expect anything beyond that. And but Danny, for 22 years, improved the farm, and he's so comfortable in his own skin. And he had great ideas, and between the 2 of us collaborating, we put our heads together, and we wish somehow we could turn the clock back and have been partners 15 years ago, and took his strengths and my strengths. But I was diagnosed with Parkinson's 10 years ago, so it slowed me down. Danny has Parkinson's, and it slowed him down a tiny bit as well. But we're both 2 guys that love life and enjoy. Danny enjoys everybody that shopped there, and is a treasured asset in the community, and always will be. And so Danny had about 100 ideas how he would like to improve things. For example, he wanted a loading dock, and was never able to get the cement poured and loads of gravel put in to do it exactly where he wanted, because he was emotionally tied to the smallest greenhouse that was there, his wife's secret garden. And he said, I'd really tear that down and put up a loading dock so I could get several more truckloads of finished flowers in it for Mother's Day and Memorial Day. And so we did that. He said I would take down the small greenhouse and I would replace it with one 5 times as big. And so we did that. We had one of his suppliers provide a greenhouse frame that was 5 times as big. And is Heidi Heath, and her father. Mr. Heath is 96 years old and still goes to work on their farm up in Coloma, Wisconsin. He does sod for the Green Bay Packers, the Brewers, high school and college teams, and nationwide. Sells Christmas trees all the way from Wisconsin to Florida, and still goes to work every day at 96. And his daughter Heidi has 60 greenhouses in Coloma. It's a hidden Wisconsin treasure, and she sells truckloads of flowers nationwide and throughout the entire Midwest. And she's become a friend, tremendous friend already. So she had wanted to expand her largest greenhouses, some of which are bigger than a football field. And she had 4 greenhouses that she wanted to take down to expand their largest rectangular greenhouse. And so I was able to get one of those greenhouse frames, 5 times as big as what Danny wanted. But Danny staked it out, and we put it exactly where he said it should go. And so I've taken about 75 of Danny's ideas, and together we're making them happen. We've got a new greenhouse. We've got a loading dock. We took down the original market that was he and his dad built 22 years ago that was kind of falling apart and living over a village of groundhogs. And so that's gone. but Danny and Sandy were emotionally tied to those things that I removed, and so we're gearing up for the future and making probably $250,000 worth of improvements, and so it's going to be a solid business based on those 3 profit centers, and more, so it's kind of a good venture, I hope.
Yeah, and lots of different things. So, for example, the activities that you mentioned in July, that's going to be in 2026, the activities, and then Christmas this year, it'll all happen in 2026?
Well, the dream is, and again, you have to realize, Theresa, that I've never been a farmer before, so half of the people that really know me are convinced I'll never be a farmer, and the other half are highly suspicious. So I've got to prove them wrong and prove that I can be a competent farmer. And so it's easy to talk about it. We'll see in the next 6 months if I'm able to do half as good a job as Danny did watering the flowers. And he had beautiful hanging pots, and people are known for everything he sells. In 7 weeks he grew 46,000 plants, and in 3.5 weeks he was sold out. He set 7 weeks aside to sell out. He was done selling everything in 3.5 weeks and could have brought more product in and sold. And so we hope to scale up the business as we go forward.
And then also just letting folks know that if they want to be a member of this co-op, that's what's going to help your dream. And it's almost like a field of dreams idea. It's a vision you had to get this going. People can be a co-op, be a member of this dream if they want to participate. And how much is the membership to be a co-op member?
Well, the idea of the co-op is really, I'll explain that momentarily, but it's really secondary to all these ideas that started to happen. Danny said that if he would be the new owner, he would do a couple things. He would start selling fresh flowers, and I've proven I can give away 400. I gave away 400 vases of flowers last year, and I charged a few people for some in addition. The ideas kept coming. For example, in the hidden flower garden out behind the farmhouse, there's a classic farmhouse that's over 100 years, classic Wisconsin barn that you just don't see anymore. And in that, behind the farmhouse, there's a tremendous garden that I probably screwed up 60% of it, not knowing exactly how to plant and handle everything. This year we've got 30% more that we'll have in flowers, and we'll do a higher percentage. But the 40% that God gave us just blossomed so incredibly well that I was able to take 25 couples out there and 25 families and just say, cut the longest stems that you can find here. I'll sit here on the golf cart and put them in the vase, and you can take them home with you as our gift to you. And so we promoted love stories. We promoted marriage. We had a lot of fun, because every sparkling couple that came in, I asked them if I could give them a gift. We hopped on one of the 3 golf carts. We'll have 7 in the future. And we would drive them down what we're going to call the flower pathway. There will be a pathway around the whole 7 acres named after a beautiful young lady who's the director of Everything Youthful. Her name's Kennedy. Kennedy, the pathway is called the Candy Flower Pathway. And we plan on, you've seen the 50 gigantic pots that will adorn that pathway in the future. And so we hope that it's going to be beautiful. Sandy was known for her hanging baskets on the front of the house. This acreage in the future will be known because when you drive by on Highway 19, you'll see the beautiful pots, and you'll also see the pathway that is going to have 7 sets of 7 arches. And the arches are going to be 10 by 10 timbers from the Amish sawmill up north that we've found miraculously. And each arch will be the size of a 2-car garage. It'll be a 10 by 10 going up across the top, It'll have vines coming down. The garden has small arches that you could drive a golf cart through. Some of the kids that were working with us last summer hit those arches and knocked a couple of them down. So the big arches will be 10 by 10 pillars cut at the Amish sawmill, put together in the next 12 months, God willing. And each one will have a parable on it. And the seventh arch on the set of arches, in these 7 sets of arches, there will be a set of arches to the right of the entryway, 7 arches to the left, 7 arches through the flower garden. There will be 7 arches down Sunset Lane, the lane between the longest greenhouse at 144 feet and the new greenhouse at 96 feet. There will be an archway along the DNR wetlands. There's a creek that goes through the farm that is from the pond and goes all the way 2 miles down past Gus's Diner and all the way to Token Creek itself. And so that land will never be built on, but it goes through the middle of our farm. And so right next to the edge of that DNR land, we'll have 7 arches. We'll have arches around the crescent, and we'll have arches around the exit. And so the 7th arch is going to have the parable, praise the Lord for he is good, trust in him because he'll provide. And for the first time in my life, I really don't know how I'm going to pull this farm off, but I'm trusting God that he'll lead me to the right people and do the right things. And he has been, amazingly, having just the right people show up. And it's actually phenomenal and miraculous that it's happening the way it is. I got to tell you a story about a couple that came in to buy a Christmas tree on the December 23rd. This beautiful young couple came in on the 23rd and said they just moved into an apartment 5 minutes away. They wanted to buy an oversized Christmas tree, and it was actually too big for their little car. So after they purchased it, I was flirting and I said, "Are you guys married?" And he said, "No, we're just dating." And so I took their pictures and gave them to him. And I love taking pictures of people when they come in, as everybody who comes in knows. And I said, "Why don't you take my pickup truck and just take your tree home with you and bring it back in an hour," which they did. I was serving one other family when they returned, and he asked me the question, "You've been married 50 years, Stan, and you're the OCF. I saw your sign there, and I got a kick out of that." But he said, "What's the secret to having a great marriage?" And I said, "Frankly, I was just a dumb old hockey player that got lucky. Jerry and I were good friends when we got married 50 years ago. If you dedicate yourself to your wife more than ever before, like Jesus loved us, then what happens is you get treasures untold." And I said, "I've done that the last 3 years, and I've just been blessed with the best relationship I've ever had with my wife." And at that exact second, the young man got down on one knee and proposed to this beautiful girl. And right in front of me, 2 feet away, they proposed and started screaming with joy and hugging each other. That was the reason I bought the farm right there. If I could sell 1 Christmas tree a year and it was that Christmas tree, that would be the thing I would want to do.
Yeah.
Some other ideas, Theresa, every December 1st, we're going to start a light show. You know how in Wanakee there's the Rotary Club has a great light show that they take donations for and people drive through. Well, in Sun Prairie, I envision the farm providing a classy version of that. And on December 1st, we plan on lighting up a show for the first day of Christmas. Every year, December 2nd, we'll have the second day of Christmas, 2 turtle doves, a partridge in a pear tree, and it'll progressively go through the 12 days of Christmas. We made a presentation to the Knights of Columbus, who would sponsor that, and it would be the 12 Days of Christmas light show sponsored by the Knights of Columbus at the farm. And if we can add that sense of community to the farm, I think it'll be fantastic.
Right. You're giving everyone an opportunity to experience some of this joy that you've been feeling. So you're giving people a really neat gift with this farm, and they can come and have these different experiences.
Like I say, I really don't know how it's evolving, but the Amish are such tremendous workers and have such, they're so righteous in the senses that they're humble and they're obedient to their calling, and that's just to be honest and do a good day's work. And I've learned so much from the Amish friends I've met in the flower business and in the Amish market up north, and what they've taught me is and shared with me is really interesting. For example, we plan on having Amish Clydesdales come down to Sun Prairie 7 weekends a year, and 2 Clydesdales will pull hayracks of kids around the candy flower pathway through the 7 sets of arches, and I just think that's going to be fantastic.
Right.
When people driving by the new high school and Culver's and Gus's Diner see those Amish horses pulling kids, 2 hayracks linked together of kids on bales of hay, bales of hay, they're going to have to turn in.
Right.
And the other thing is that when the cooperative takes effect, it's going to support itself. The cooperative idea that the kids came up with, it got an A in the class. So many of them are pledged owners of the future farm as well. And the first pledged owner is Danny and Sandy Lothy, the previous owners. Second pledge is Jerry and I. And the third pledge is a professor, 2 years younger than my daughters. And then it just progressed from there. The kids in the class, many of them are pledged owners in the futures. They don't have to pay anything till the 4,000th person pledges $500. And that when the 4,000th person is pledged, then everybody will be contacted and given the opportunity to be an owner by forking over $500 and hitting several trigger points. So that's how everybody takes true ownership of the farm. I bought it, and legally today it's called Heavenly Acres Greenhouses and Flowers. That was when I was entrepreneurial and was, relatively speaking, I was just being kind of selfish, and I wanted to make as much profit as I could and be the dictator. And so that's changed quite a bit from the vision of today. We've got a declared mission to be a family farm for 100 years and not do some of the things that I initially wanted to do.
So you had a change of heart, and so what would you say caused that, made you change your heart to this model, besides the course? Yeah.
It just seemed like it's what God wants me to do.
So you're
the
inspired.
Rest of my life.
Yeah.
I have been inspired by the farm, and the farm has brought so many people together. People are just coming out of the woodwork to be friends or customers or reconnect, and it's phenomenal.
Right, right. It's an extraordinary story, and to capture that on the podcast, you can't quite capture that feeling, but I wanted to at least give you an opportunity so people could hear it, and then when they go to the farm, they can experience what you're talking about, and they'll kind of get an idea of the magic that you're creating.
Well, people of Sun Prairie and the whole Madison area know about the farm because Danny and Sandy did such a beautiful job of growing flowers and such a beautiful job of just being a tremendous family. They've got 4 kids and 14 grandkids. Their grandkids kind of hate me because I'm the guy who disturb their great family reunions and time on the farm, and they want to like me, but they're upset that I'm the guy who changed things. And so for their sake, I need to do a good job in changing things, and for all sorts of reasons, I need to do a good job of growing these flowers and try to keep the standard of quality at the high level that Danny had.
Yep.
Which is no easy task, I found. After 6 months, I've found that I can screw up more than you could imagine, and so hopefully time will prove. The good thing is that God's the supplier of the flowers. He's been growing flowers for a long time. So if I can put the right flowers in the right pots and water and fertilize them appropriately, in 7 months after February 15th, we'll open the doors and have the beautiful flowers that Danny was always known for. And based on that, I think people will continue to come.
And is there anything you want to tell people? So you're going to be opening in 7 months after February?
February 15th, the first truckloads of sprouts start to come. We've got 7 people, and I would be remiss if I didn't express my gratitude to the 25 or so people that that have worked out at the farm. Ruthie is 72 years old. When I was playing hockey 55 years ago, Ruthie was competing as a national gymnastic competition against the likes of Kathy Rigby, who got 5 gold medals way back when. And Ruthie was there this morning feeding the ponies and the goats and the miniature sheep that we brought in last summer. Ruthie feeds the animals in the morning, and it was, 20-some below today?
Yeah.
Ruthie was out there doing her thing in a thankless job for 2 hours, making sure the ponies and the goats, and Levi Johns, who's been doing it in the afternoon, and Kennedy from the Kennedy Flower Pathway is backing those 2 up. Kennedy's got a team of 7 young girls and friends, and she's the director of Everything Youthful. She's in the 9th grade, and she just got her first movie part this last summer, and I'm saying that she's going to be the Julia Roberts of the future. So she's a beautiful young lady. She's a cherished family friend. She and her mother are just a fantastic part of Jerry and I's lives.
This has been something that has been heart-opening for you and the people that hear your story and meet you. All the stories that you've been telling today about this have been inspiring, and I would like to tell people how they can find out, how they can be part of what your vision is. Where can they go to get more information?
Well, the concept that the kids had in the class, it got the A in the paper, is that I bought the farm as a limited liability corporation, Heavenly Acres Greenhouses and Flowers, LLC, but it's doing business as the Bloomin Farm Cooperative. And this is my gift to you, young lady.
Oh, yep, thanks.
That is the Bloomin Farm Cooperative, and you can check out just Google that, and it'll get you. You can like us on Facebook, and you can go to the website. I've done a horrible job of developing the name, and not much better with the website, so I can only improve. But on the website, you'll see our mission to be a family farm for 100 years, and it doesn't cost you a penny to come out and enjoy the flowers, buy sweet corn, buy a pumpkin, come and get any of these flower combinations. And I'm surveying customers right now. If you got a vase of flowers last summer, and everybody knows who you are when you did get them, we'll have these in addition to the cut your own bouquets. So just come out and enjoy the farm. At the farm, we have a one-page pledge sheet that says several things. The first several hundred people signed up with a handwritten couple paragraphs of their own. So I thought I should organize it for them a little bit. But it simply says that our combined mission as owners is to keep it a family farm for the next 100 years. And the thousands pledge, and we were just went over 400 families pledging. At the thousands pledge, it'll trigger the election of 9 board members to fill out the board. There's been 8 people that have already pledged to run for those board seats. And then they'll start advising me on decisions, how to make decisions based on every aspect of the farm, and every investment, every profit level. That board of directors will make decisions based for the good of all. And with a pledge, it costs you $500 at some point in the future to invest, but you don't spend a penny to until the 4,000th pledge comes into reality. Willie Street Cooperative, which I think you maybe said you were a member of, which is cool, has 14,500 members. So I think there will be more than 4,000 members of this farm cooperative into the future. We're not going to say no to the 4,000th and first person. And so I don't think it'll stop. There'll be more than 4,000. But at that point, at 4,000, it triggers the buyout, and I can look towards the future of just being a member owner, just like everybody else. I have 1 vote. I can run for the board of directors, which I do want to do. I'm one of the 8 who's declared that he wants to be a board member. But I don't want to be the CEO. The 9-member board will to be legal, will elect 1 person to be the leader of that group. And so you have a CEO, the 9-member board, and the rules of governance and the transparency of the profitability. We're investing in $46,000 in a barcoding system that I ran into miraculously at Heidi Heath Farms, the family that sold us the greenhouses at 80% less than what they paid for them, which was a great collaborative effort, right? So that barcoding system will enable us to have a level of profitability to sustain the budget, but it'll be transparent. Every customer and every owner will know what that 2-foot wide, beautiful hanging basket cost, and they'll know the profitability. And so as a member, you'll get a dividend. The roughly $400,000 in profit annually will be divided by the 4,000 families. It's about $100 a year. If we scale up the business, which we plan on doing, it'll be more than $100 a year per pledged owner, which is not a bad return on $500.
Right.
But you'll also get the dividend on my mom's birthday every year, but on every purchase, the pledged owners will get a discount. And I'm thinking of giving 7% off on every flower basket that you buy, Theresa, or every dozen sweet corn. As an owner, you should get a little bit of a break, right? So somebody coming off the street, if Kurt is not a pledged owner and you want to buy a dozen sweet corn, you'd pay full price. But you'd have the opportunity to sign and become a pledged owner right on the spot, and get both the dividend when you buy me out, and you'll get the discount immediately. So as an owner, you should get a little better price. And it just gives us an opportunity to, once again, to say, this is one of the last great family farms, and you can be part of it. And if we tell enough people, it's really not about me, and it's not about anybody else. It's about the farm and the contribution the farm is going to make to the owner members and to the community. And I really, and frankly, if you had to ask me why I bought it for the praise and glory of our Lord. And and I just see it as a real gift. And for me personally, I look at the flowers out there, the vase of flowers I give away, and I'm just so full of gratitude for the beauty of those flowers. I don't think they're an accident. I think they're a gift.
Well, it's really inspiring, and I appreciate you coming here to tell their story.
Well, thank you, Theresa. I'm so grateful for you. And again, All Comfort Services, I've looked, this is an employee-owned company, and of all the gentlemen and the ladies who answer the phone and answer the service calls, there's not a single person in this company I haven't really liked. And so I'm grateful for all the work that you're doing. I think the contract that we just financed through you to improve the greenhouses, put the most modern furnaces and electrical work in the brand new greenhouse, have all come together. And I think it's another example of collaboration.
Thank you, and I appreciate you coming down to tell the story.
It's a pleasure, Theresa.